This is Insight Freedom. Scott decided that I would try to do one more of the blind challenge by Patriot in the dark, because I think this would be more challenging. This Ruger, not Mark IV, Mark III light, provides challenges even without a blindfold. So hold on one second. Let me get my blindfold on, and I'll come back and we'll give this a run. It may be funny. So here we have the Ruger 2245. This is the Mark III. They made improvements in the Mark IV, which made this breakdown easier. And so everyone knows, when I was kind of joking about this may be funny, this, even with being able to see what you're doing, is often challenging to break down. So here we have the gun, hand and grip. The grip is rubberized. Feel that it's relatively soft, but it's got a good grip to it. Moving up with I'm holding this in my right hand, moving up with my thumb, this is where the safety is. The safety is off, it's down. When pushed up, it's on. Over here, we have the bolt stop, in this case, because this is a fixed upper. This upper is lightened. If we reach towards the muzzle end, you will feel lightening holes in it. There is also on the side over here a loaded chamber indicator, which is down, but I'm not going to trust that. We'll safety check it later. Moving down around the trigger and the trigger guard, we do have the magazine release. Opposite side over here, if we roll it over into where our right hand was wrapped around on the other side of the grip, also again like rubberized, everything over here is the same, but you'll notice that other than just having an ejection port, and it does not have that bolt holdback or the safety on this side of the gun over here, but you'll see everything else. And then we do have on the muzzle of this gun, this is a threaded barrel. On top, I have the rail section mounted. These guns do come with standard adjustable rear. That's adjustable for both elevation and windage, and then a blade front end. This one does have the rail mounted on it and the Sight Mark Mini Shot Pro on it. This gun is dirty. Just used it with my son yesterday at the range. Let's take our right thumb right at the end of the trigger guard, and we will find the magazine release. Push the magazine release. Pull the magazine from the bottom of the grip. Now again, like I said, this upper shroud on here, which is lightened, does not move. That is where all of the sights are attached to it. This shroud goes over the actual 22 barrel. Inside of here we have the chamber, and in there we have a bolt. This bolt is what does move. This is more like an AR in its action and how it works. So I will put one hand, I'll take my left hand and hold it in there, and I will put that thumb onto this bolt holdback. I will pull the bolt and push up on that, and then that holds into position. We will safety check this gun, double check that. Again, I mentioned that I did check on here. The indicator was down, and I can also stick my finger in here, and I will feel that there is not a 22 inside the cylinder. So then we will release that. We can go ahead and pull for safety. Well, actually, no, I can't. I have to have the magazine in there, because this one does have that safety feature on it. So if we put that in there, we can pull the trigger. There we go. So now, going to the back of the grip, just below the rear of the gun, where we do have our hand up in there in this semi kind of indention slash beaver tail back in here. It doesn't really protrude beyond anything. You will find an indentation, and this on this spring that is on the back side of the grip. Pop that up, move it out. You will see at the top of the gun here that this does have a piece that goes all the way up through this shroud in here, through the bolt on there. We will reach up, pull down, and we will remove this from the gun. Now inside the gun, this is where we do have the hammer spring, and the hammer, you'll see everything inside of here that is part of that trigger mechanism The trick in getting this together is getting that one spur from that hammer spring back into the proper location within this. Now, the other trick is that sometimes these are tight. This 2245 light is relatively tight. This has got to pull forward off of this gun. So here I usually use a rubber mallet. I'm going to take the shroud off of that and just pull forward on this. So we're going to have to pull these two pieces apart. This can be tricky and often takes a good bit of effort, but it does come loose. And I'm not sure what just came off of the gun. Oh, I just knocked that loose. Sorry about that. So here we go. We've got the two pieces separated. You see now that we're dealing with, this is fun, dealing with a relatively dirty gun. You can see inside of here and see all of this probably has a good bit of powder residue and stuff inside of it. So while we have this apart, I'm going to clean it. And I'm going to pause, and then I will come back and put this back on, and then we will go through the reassembly process. Again, we've cleaned everything, and we have it broken into the 5 kind of major components. One being the magazine off to the side here. Do have the grip here. The grip does contain the hammer, and it does contain the hammer strut. Do have the upper shroud containing barrel, sights, chamber. Then we also have the firing pin assembly with the spring. Looking at that in here, we'll see the opening through which is the main spring. This is the assembly, again, that kind of goes in through the back, goes up through the grip, through the shroud, in the gap in the firing pin assembly, and locks this into place. So first thing we have to do is actually get the upper, which does have a lug on it. You can feel grabbing the front end here, that's the front of the barrel, to the back end. If I feel my way up under the underside of there, I will get to a point where I feel this lug. I have to take it and match it up with, there we go, got the grip, and those should lock together, or should line up together until they get to a point I should be able to feel that's got to be pretty close to the back there. There, now it's locked in, and now we want to get that seated on there. So I'm going to put the muzzle down onto my mat and push into the grip in a downward force. I should feel here that the actual upper shroud does go just past the back end of the grip slightly. Again, I'm going to seat that a little bit better just to get it in there good. And now we've got it. So now I want my magazine in here, and I want to push this down, pull the trigger, and what I'm trying to do is I want to get that hammer lying as flatly as possible before I put my firing pin assembly back in there. Again, firing pin assembly has the wing. On interruptions or anything, I do have an appointment coming up, so I have to get this finished. So I'm going to put the firing pin assembly back into the upper shroud through the back. Again, the wings on the back, the cocking wings to the left and the right stay back, and then the front, that is the actual firing pin, ejector, and all those fun things, kind of like in a bolt, go in. I'm going to pull down. Seat that. I'm going to put my magazine back in, fire, and make sure that is. I'm going to take this and make sure that that hammer, that the hammer of course is that plate inside of the back of the opening here, that it's fully forward, pushed forward, rotated up forward. And then I've got to take my main spring housing, and it has to go with, there is a rounded steel piece on it that swings, And again, we have the little lock, the little hinge lock that we had to open to take this out of there will be in an upward position, up from base of magazine up. It will face up, and then this has to go into the opening on the back of the gun, and it has to slide through the hole in the grip that goes all the way through the upper shroud, penetrating or piercing just out of the top. It goes through the gap in this firing pin assembly. So let me push that up, and it should lock. Once it's in all the way, it will protrude. Like I said, it'll protrude slightly out of the top of this. Let me get my finger behind here and push. You heard that lock in, so now it is, again, that pin is protruding all the way just behind the sight in the upper shroud. And now what I've got to do is I've got to get this, I have that strut, we have the hammer strut that has to go into a notch in this mainspring housing. So before I close this, what I want to do is keep this hinged open, and then I want to rotate the magazine in the butt of the grip around and over towards the upper or the barrel. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that the hammer strap, I'm trying to get that to flip into the notch in here before I attempt to close this. So this will flip over like that. There, we can hear that flipping into position. Oh wait. Yes. And I want it to come around. And I need my magazine in there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down on the trigger before I try to close this. And then it should close easily at this point. And then I have to release the magazine. Take the magazine out. Once the magazine's out, then I should be able to finish shutting that mainspring, and then I'll be able to flip. Once I get that done, I'll be able to flip closed the latch on that. So if I have done this correctly, I have that back in there. Let's put the magazine back in, because it does have a magazine disconnect in there. I should be able to double check for safety. There is nothing in this. Pull, and the trigger's active. So there we go. Pain in the rear, made harder by technical difficulties, but Patriot in the dark, I do appreciate you, and I do thank you for this challenge, and for motivating me to give this one a try, because I completely doubted that I could ever do this with a blindfold on. I have a lot of respect for you. Check him out. There'll be links to his video below. If you want to jump in and do this, I just find this challenge to be enlightening. I find it to be fun, maybe a little bit frustrating with this gun, but overall I really enjoyed it. So let me take this blindfold off, and again say blind challenge, hashtag blind challenge, hashtag Patriot in the dark. This is appreciated. It is fun, and believe it or not, something even as challenging as this, I guess, can be done. I know that you know it can be done, but now I know that I might be able to do it, and I really enjoyed it, so thank you.